All right, peace, everybody. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Screen. Let's fix this screen. All right. What's up? Thanks for joining the Brothers Hill Show. We got Big Vic relaxing in the cut, and Mighty. We coming from different areas. I'm in North Carolina. Big Vic is in South Carolina, I believe, right?
Yep.
And Mahdi is in Belgium. But
Yeah.
guess what? We all pretty much from the same area.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Like my family's from Winsboro, South Carolina. Um, you're from Mahdi. You're from Sumter,
Yeah,
South
something.
Carolina.
Yeah.
And Big Vic, I know you lived in Florence at one time. I don't know. I know you hail from Connecticut
Yep. Uh-huh.
before,
Yep.
so
Yep. Bridgeport,
we all met
Connecticut.
in, in different places. I met you in Belgium,
Mhm.
over the phone in Belgium. Then we
Yeah.
hooked up in London.
London. Yeah.
And Vic I met in South Carolina. But it's crazy how life moves around and you just meet up with people and just start things. Oh, let me
Yeah,
get
man.
Ahmed on here. Hold on. There you go, Ahmed. Peace.
Peace, peace. I was on the other link. I was sitting waiting for you on the
Yeah,
other
yeah. That's
link.
what I
I
wanted to
I
see,
was on
man.
other
Yeah.
link.
you got
Yeah.
serious. That was the same link. I don't know what was going on with
No,
that.
it's two different links if you look at it.
It's a
Yeah.
different link.
It
It is a
is?
different link.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah, because I created it. Man, my bad. Yeah, that's why I resent it again. All right. Ahmed's is in New York, where I grew born and raised.
Okay.
Uh,
Peace, brothers. How y'all
Nice.
doing?
Peace.
Peace. All
You
right.
are, brother.
Right, cool.
Right.
so the reason why I did this show is because we got a lot of negative images that's been coming out against brothers since the day we was born, basically, right? And
Mhm.
then we have YouTube and other platforms that now has aggravated that image, made it amplified those negative, false, illusionary images because it's not true. Of what a lot of the things they say. What are some of the things they say about us? We don't take care of our children. We did not focus. We don't have. We don't make any money. We can't support our families. Uh, that's just a small minority of what we're criminals.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, we're just not good to our women. I mean, can y'all think of anything else they've been saying about us?
But no,
You're weak.
It keeps going.
weak. Yeah, weak. Yeah, weak.
Yeah.
You're
No,
weak.
Yeah.
And guess
yeah.
what? It's all a lie. And the four of us on this show proves that it's a lie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Myself, I have this show. Uh, I've known Vic for what? I think about 10 years now, right?
Yes. Yeah. Dog, it's been that long.
Yeah.
Dog, time flying.
2009, I think you came around too.
Yep. That's when I came. That's when I came up here. Yep.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
bought the
yeah.
house in 2009. Yep.
Right. So, he worked with me in my shop. So he met me as a business owner. Plus, I was still working for Time Warner. Um, and I know Vic to be a family man. Uh, as far as I know, you and your wife still together, right? Am
Yeah.
I
Yeah. We
correct?
still together. Yep.
Right? Y'all not going anywhere,
Yep.
right? And you got grandchildren now,
Yep. Got grands.
right? I
Nice,
knew you
nice,
before that
nice.
happened, and
Yeah.
Yep.
and you an entrepreneur, businessman. You was a barber, now you own a trucking company.
Yep.
Now which
Hmm.
you're helping me and Ahmed. Uh, you got a class that you teach other brothers how to do that. You're sharing that
Correct.
information. Mahdi is a doctor, and a family man, you
Okay.
know. So, just tell us some of the things you do, Mahdi.
Oh, well, yeah, like Brother Keem said, yeah, my background's in medicine, naturopathic medicine at that. And I was a college professor at Arizona State University teaching stress management. That's my focus, working with folks with stress management and burnout now. And I consult with companies as well as individuals, basically high performance individuals like entrepreneurs, business execs, et cetera, around their stress and helping them not only achieve better results in their health physically, but we also work on relationships and also their careers. So yeah, I've been doing that now. Wow. In the education sector and consulting for like the past 10 years. And yes, I love it.
That's awesome. That's
Right.
Making a
awesome.
difference. Mhm.
And Vic, I don't mean to skip over you. Go ahead and tell us about. I just mentioned some of the things that I knew about you personally.
Yeah. So I run a multimedia company. So I do videography, photography. I do a lot of corporate commercials, um, short film stuff. marketing. So I'm pretty strong in the SEO sector, which is search engine optimization. Um, for businesses, people looking to get their businesses showing up on Google, when you search whatever keywords that your business may be in. I have that as one of my streams, I should say. I have my trucking company, and I also, well, right now I own two box trucks, or straight trucks, and I also have Big Vic TV, which is my YouTube channel. So I've been running that for about 11, I want to say
That's
12
not
years almost.
much, yeah.
Yeah, about 12 years. But I've been running that channel, basically teaching music producers, uh, music production, because I was signed with So Def back in, when was that? 2009. I think I signed with So Def around that time. Did 4 years over there as a staff music producer. So after that, I started teaching producers on YouTube, and then I jumped in the trucking industry, which is so huge right now. And then my following really started growing after I tapped into this trucking industry, because
Nice.
it's a phenomenal industry right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Big Vic is kind of humbling himself. He made a couple of movies. He don't want to tell y'all. Right. So, independent films. I've actually seen him. He had them at the shop.
Nice.
So, I don't know why he left that out.
I actually forgot about that. Oh no.
Yeah. But because that's when I met him. He was pushing pushing his multimedia company, his films and stuff, like his short films. And to Ahmed is in the real estate industry. So
Mhm.
Ahmed, introduce yourself and tell them what you're doing.
You pretty much laid it out. It's that simple. Nah,
You're more than that, brother.
yeah, well, man, yeah, I've been doing real estate for a minute. I've been on the investment side for a good long time. Did some investments down in Georgia back in 2008 when that bubble hit. So I ran through that little situation, but I don't stress it. It is what it is. I had my first barbershop at 18. I had my second barber beauty salon at 21. Now I'm embarking on this move, on this journey with Big Vic, teaching us on this trucking thing here.
Right.
I'm still in the real estate game, still doing my thing in the real estate. And actually, I just had a meeting today because I was also have a tax situation on business that I was doing, but I'm restructuring how I'm doing it now. It's more so on the back end as opposed to being hands on. So I'm actually seeing how I can incorporate that even with you and your site, Akeem. I'm trying to see how I could make that work the same way you may make a move with Vic that you were speaking to me about.
Right.
But more so that instead of me being direct to people, I'm in the background and I can just take my piece and keep it moving and let them do their thing. So I'm going to be putting people in a position to start their own business. So I'm going to be that middleman and getting them in a position, teaching them, training them so they can start their own business as well. But
Right.
I got to eat too. But but I don't have to eat on that grand scale because it's about the numbers. So I'm
Right.
looking to take this across the country as well. So I got some
That's
plans and being able to be around some brothers who have a mindset of growth is what's important. You know what I'm saying, because we be around too many brothers that get stagnated and where they're at and where they want to be and think that's where it's at. But I had to learn something. I had to learn you got to leave people where they at and always try to see the best in them and bring them. And you find
Absolutely.
yourself getting pushed back with them. So I gotta
right.
take brothers for where they at and deal with them where they at and keep it moving.
Right.
Yep.
I agree with that. You got to leave certain people where they at, because some people are just not ready. They don't have the mindset to elevate. I know at one time I wasn't ready. All I could see was doing cable and cutting hair, and I was looking for short money. I was Vic, so I was getting that little bit of chasing it, and then now I learned to just sit back and let the money come to me. It starts with the mind. Envisioning what you want for yourself. And then once that starts, everything else starts manifesting. But one of the key things I did learn is don't be selfish about it.
Facts.
Share it.
Yeah.
Give it out. Give it, while you're doing your meditations, you need to be meditation for the people you associating with and sending out good energy to them so that they can, have successful businesses and things like that. And we know that we're just a small example of what's out there
Mm-hmm.
as far as businesses. We're just a small. There's so many brothers out here doing it on this level and even better than the levels we're on. You know,
Yeah.
but on this platform, I could safely say, we are in that small minority, 6-7%, 6-figure income guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just trying to brag on it. I'm just saying we're on that level. And when you look at the numbers, that's sick. That's a small minority of people, and the four of them on this line right here. You see,
Indeed.
but what did it take to get there? What was it? We went through. I know I went through a lot of minefields. When I say minefields, I mean mind fields, meaning the bad narratives that I got as a child, and it being reinforced upon me through television programming and news programming, and then sometimes even the women in our lives didn't help with that. So, but to overcome all that and then to be right here to talk with you brothers, that took a lot of work, mental work. Number one, what do y'all think about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think
You wanna go?
it's really getting the mind in a place where you have that clarity. It really boils down to identity, who
Mm,
you are, and being very clear about who you are.
mm,
Who do you say that the I am is concerning you? And once you have that, it begins to direct your activities and direct um, what you're able to manifest in the world, because you have a sense of purpose and identity that you're clear on, and so you're able to make moves from that space. And one of my mentors, I told you about Myron Akeem. He put it like this. He said, "Identity produces activity that produces property."
mm-hmm.
And he says, so without you being clear about who you are and your identity, you will not know how to navigate here on this earth and carry out the assignment you're here to do.
Right.
And when you carry out your assignment, you then have the capacity to acquire property or
Right.
material possessions. But he said, without that aspect of being clear about who you are in your identity, and being solely aligned with that, and not allowing yourself to be distracted in any way or
Mm,
misguided in any way, that's how you start to come up. And that's what it was for me, just kind of going through uh just the journey, coming up um in the household that I did. And my father was being in the military. We did a lot of traveling around, so I was experiencing different cultures and different kinds of people.
mm-hmm.
And so I got to see possibilities of what I could experience and who I could become at a very early age that was outside of the general community that we typically find ourselves in. Even though, yeah, my parents both were from South Carolina, and we ended up settling. My dad retired in South Carolina, where I finished high school and college. Having that early exposure to different cultures allowed me, to get a clear sense of who I desired to become. And once I was clear on that, the results are what they are. And I think I can kind of surmise that from all of you, that you got that clarity about who you are, and now you're making the moves that you're making.
Right.
Were
Right.
I
were
think
you,
one
were
of
you
the
talking about?
main. I'm sorry, brother. Good.
I was gonna say, were you talking about Myron Golden?
Yeah. Mhm.
I met Myron in where was I? I was in Nashville, Tennessee at an event called Funnel Hackers.
Oh yeah, yeah. He just did another one this past week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I missed it this year, but I went last year. And something that I learned while I was out there. Well. The first thing I learned was something. I had a. I'm not gonna say it was a mental block, but I understood that if you want to get where most of the money is being made, you have to be around the people that are making most of the money.
Yes,
You have
sir.
to you have to learn from
Mm,
those
mm,
people and
Mhm.
associate yourself with those people. And what I learned was, once I really got clear, I got very specific on what I wanted,
Mm.
things started coming to me. So if you want to be terrific, you have to
Please.
become very specific on what you want.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Um,
Yeah.
and
I agree.
that was just like uh just really golden for me. Um, just to be, just to surround myself with those types of people. Like I've been involved in so many different companies growing up, you know, when I started tapping into personal development, because I've always been
Mhm.
music focused, but personal development for myself was like just one of the biggest life changers for me as far as mindset, how I think, who I started surrounding myself around, started really looking at who was around me, and if all of us are broke, I need to find some new friends, basically.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, you're right, man.
you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I could talk all day. Y'all go.
I think the most important about everything that was just said is you have to be unapologetic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm,
I'm
mhm.
saying you got to move in your space and in your realm and be unapologetic about it. And that's the one thing that
Right.
Facts.
I had to make sure that it's clear to anyone and everyone around me. I'm unapologetic of who I am and what I am. I'm
Mhm.
true. I'm a true dude, but I'm unapologetic. I'm gonna say what needs to be said and how it needs to be said, and I ain't worried. I ain't thinking about your feelings. I'm thinking about what you need.
Right.
So if I'm going to be a friend to you, don't come to me thinking I'm gonna placate to you and make you feel good. No, I'm going to tell you what it is, and I expect the
That's what's
same.
up.
Right. Right. Right.
Hmm.
And I expect you to be unapologetic, telling me what it is. Like, yo, bro, you bugging right now. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's not how it should be.
Absolutely.
Or, yo, bro, you right on that. You okay on that one. And if I can't have someone around me who's going to be true to that, then it's a waste of time. And then the compound that is everything that other brothers said as well. If you ain't trying to, one thing I learned, if you ain't moving, you ain't going nowhere. So I
Absolutely.
get too many people talking about, well, I want to do this, but I'm waiting for this to be, and I'm waiting for that, and this needs to be perfect, and I'm gonna do that. And I was a victim of that too. Now, don't get me wrong, I ain't perfect, but I had to understand that I got to move from that. And I know that
Exactly.
if
No,
I'm standing in this space, if I don't take that step, I'm gonna keep standing in that space. So
Right.
just
you
move,
call that you call
Right.
that lip service with no hip service.
but no hip
Yep.
service.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything y'all saying is great, right? I didn't really go into what I do. I was a barber. I was a satellite installer. I was a cable guy. I worked at Wall Street. I did all those things. But what I really do is teach myself spiritual uh, science. That I teach myself first, and I try to live it, or I live it, and then I use that as an example to help others. Because see, one of the main things I try to focus on is I can't teach you anything that I haven't done. I
Exactly.
got to apply it and then teach it. I had to walk this spiritual walk, and it's still, I'm not saying I'm there. Anybody that says they're spiritually there, run. Okay. it's it's a journey. It's just like these steps behind me in here. That represents levels of consciousness. Keep elevating. Once you get on that next step, you got another step to go, and challenges that come with you. So my what I do is I try to speak spiritual science according to the mind, because the mind is what gives us everything. Everything we're doing right now, this show is a representation of a thought of the past.
Mhm.
That's all it is. See, a lot of people think what's happening to them now, it just popped up. No, it came to you. What you've experienced in the physical, it came to you from something you contemplated prior to that moment.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
once you accept 100%, like Ahmed said, be unapologetic, but be unapologetic to yourself too. Say, listen, yo, this is what I did this to myself. The relationships I'm in, the friendships I have, the money I have, I did this to myself. What's great about that is it's not biased. Meaning, if I have a great thought, I'm gonna get great things. If I have a bad thought, I'm gonna get bad things. All I gotta do is change the thoughts, change my mind, and boom, it's gonna start showing up. Like
Hmm.
me and just to give you an example, me and Ahmed been we was working on the Toro business, and it had a couple of kinks. How do we be a partner in the Toro business when it's designed for someone to have an individual car to share their car with the public? It was that was one of the biggest hurdles we were trying to get over. Getting the car was the easy part. Money, that's easy, but then I'm fumbling around on YouTube or something or Facebook, and then I run across Big Vic, and I haven't seen Vic stuff come across my line in months. Like, okay, what's going on? He's sharing a course on how to get into the trucking business. And I looked at it, I said, man, my spirit immediately hit me, said, I think this is what I need to be watching. So I called Big Vic up. I said, hey, what's going on? And I purchased it. And that's another thing. We have to start supporting each other's businesses.
Exactly.
If you got friends and they're not supporting your businesses, or they calling themselves your associate friends and you hanging out with them, then they're not your friends.
I'm a testament to that.
Yeah, you got.
Let me
you have.
If you got family that say that they're family and they're not putting a dollar into your business, they're not family,
bro.
Listen,
yeah,
I've made more money from people that never knew me before than I've ever made from anybody that I've ever knew personally. It's weird how it works, but it always works that way for some reason.
Right.
It always worked that way, from me doing movie stuff to any other businesses I ever got involved in, people that I did not know. It's just weird the way it works, but it's almost like if you told your kid to do something, they hear moms or pops. But if a stranger out of nowhere says, hey, you need to go over there and have a seat, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go over there and have a seat because they don't know that person. But it's just the reaction is different. Well, I know back in the days, now you might get cursed out, but back in the days, it used to be like that.
Right.
These kids are a little different nowadays, but y'all get what I'm saying. No, but most people listen to other people before they listen to people that they do not know.
Right.
It's weird, but it's weird.
Right.
Yeah, I think, man, one thing, and y'all can give me your thoughts on this, is that a lot of folks who are most familiar with us feel entitled to us.
Right.
And
absolutely.
And they expect you to give them things on the strength, of I know you and associate with you, and they're unwilling to invest because they feel entitled. And and like you're just saying, brother, the folks that I've done the most business with don't know me, and many of them don't even look like me. And they're much more apt to, give me some business than, my folk or the folk who look like me at times.
Right. Now, you had something to say on that, Ahmed?
No, I was going not only do they don't give you business, they don't even give you any other type of support because they don't want to see you thrive. It's like, that crap in the barrels thing that we always talk about. But that happens no matter if it's family or friends, no matter what it is. The person is human before they family. So they come up and they trained a certain way and they accept that training and think there's nothing better. They get trapped. It's something I recently was telling people that, when you grow up, especially like you're in a project, you hang out, you're in the hood or whatever, there's always that one lady that has the house that everybody comes over and she cooks and she cooks, everybody likes the food, they drink, they have fun and joke, blah, 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 blah. But she never wanted to do anything to get out of the situation she was in because she was content. So that's that poor thinking. So we have this poor mentality. And it's like, it's okay to have this poor mentality. I'm like, no. I said, listen, I enjoyed my childhood. I had a good goddamn time. I mean, I should jump down the sewer lines when they open the street. But why couldn't my childhood be that I jump on a plane and go to France and go hang out in the parks?
Right.
Why can't that be my childhood? Why my childhood have to be that I got to take a pissy mattress and do flipping on that I used to do?
That's me. That's me. I remember those days.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a up north. I don't know. Did they do that down here in my
Yeah, bro, like yeah, we used to
Okay.
find them in
Yeah, that was the
old
thing.
old abandoned
Yeah,
houses, right
Right.
there, man.
clubhouse. We had a
Yep,
clubhouse
Made
in
it
abandoned
work.
houses back in the days.
We made the
exactly.
That
hood
was the
work.
clubhouse.
Yep.
Right. I got to agree with that, man. I didn't have a bad childhood. You know, my parents weren't wealthy, but we had what we needed. I mean, I actually was one of the few kids that got teased for having to pay for my lunch in school. You know, so what I'm saying, my both parents had money coming in. My mother didn't always have to work. So, and my father did take us places. He took us to the Poconos, took us to North Carolina a couple of times. He did take us on vacations, but it wasn't far. You know, it was driving distance vacations.
Yeah, mountain stuff like that.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. So, but I'm still thankful he was in that mindset to get us out of the city because I think me
Right.
and Ahmed grew up around the corner from each other on Bed
Yeah,
Stuy.
believe it or not. Yeah.
We never met before. I think I met his brother, uh, but that's the type of vacations that we were on. It was something I wanted to expand on. Oh yeah, with the support from our people. Now, as men who are successful on the level that we are, how does that make you feel? What does that do to your psychology when you have people who call themselves your friend or your family, they're not supporting, and then let's add to it, maybe you have a woman in your life that's not that supportive. You know, what does that do? Because I try to explain this, and it's hard to when a person is that close to you, they can't see it. And this, I'm hoping like when people can hear what we're saying, like this, what does that do to your psychology when you're trying to be the best that you can be, you're trying to elevate, and you got all of these outside influence. You could deal with, like me personally, I could deal with strangers doing that, right? It's easier because you don't know them. But when you got someone close to you that's seem to be getting in your way, what does that do to your psychology there?
I got a perfect example. I remember when I first started my multimedia company, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I was selling. I think I was back then. I was selling bootleg Jordans, getting them out of China, all that stuff, right? So I had like, I knew they was about to start cracking down on the Jordans and all that stuff. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take this money and I'm about to buy my first expensive camera. So I had all my money put up right at the house. I came home. I told my wife, I'm about to buy this camera. I came home it was like $2,200. I was buying it from somebody off of eBay, but I was going to them to pick it up. I went to look for my money, and she hid the money. She hid all of my money. It was like $2,200. She hid. I said, "Yo," I said, "I'm about to destroy this crib right now. Where is my money? I have to get this camera." But see, she could not see the vision because that's a woman. They look for security.
Mhm.
So that was, but I had this vision to
Mhm.
take that money and start making money with that camera because like I already had work lined up for music videos that I was going to be shooting. Had people ready, like willing to give me their money, but all she seen was 2,000. All we pretty much had left going out of that house and leaving her hands like she can't touch it. So
Mhm.
she did not see that vision. So for me, I knew it was going to be I was basically put in a situation to where I had no choice but to make this happen. Like I was backed in the corner, like, yo, you taking your last dime. You about to lose. You gonna lose. You may lose this relationship right here if you don't make something happen. So for me, that just made me that more hungrier when I went to go buy that camera because I did get that money. I found where she hid it at, and I took every last dime of it. And when I left that house, I said, you know what? If it's gonna be, it's up to me. So, but guess what? I did get the camera. I made it happen. We always talk about this same. We always have that same conversation about you took my 2 grand or whatever. You hid it, and she's happy now because I have that bloomed into an entire multimedia company, all types of equipment, just companies just reaching out but what if I had? I always think about what if I had just listened, bucked down, of just like, you know what? I ain't gonna get the camera right now. But I don't want to be one of the people that's living in the what if I would have. I'm one
Mm,
of those people that love to say, I'm glad I did. You
mm,
get what I'm saying? I'm glad I did because it just set me on an entirely different path. So, that's for the people that may fear on taking risk. And that's
Mhm.
something that I learned. Without risk, there is no reward.
mm,
You have to take a risk out here. Even in the trucking
Of
business, I had to
course.
take a risk.
Right.
I had to.
Yeah.
Any business, you're gonna have to take a risk.
And the other thing, you got to fail to succeed.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no
mm,
success without failure.
Well,
That
it's not a it's
Absolutely.
only a failure if you don't learn the lesson.
You don't learn
right.
the
Correct.
lesson exactly.
Well,
Correct.
Only a
what I'm
problem if you don't
saying is
learn the lesson.
you're gonna meet obstacles. And
And
when
Obstacle.
you really
challenges.
look
Yeah.
at, I mean, I think you guys could testify to this, right? Whenever you get into a difficult situation that seems like it's not going to work or a setback, once you got through it, you look back at it, man, that wasn't so bad. It was more mental. The mental was all, okay, what do I do next? A little panic, things like that. Like Vic, that could have been, we may not be sitting here talking to Vic right now if he had allowed $2,200 to, okay, listened and said, well, we're going to use this to pay some bills and we're not going to take no risk on this camera, right? Because
Hmm.
that's the way she was seeing it.
Hmm.
Mm,
What I got out of what he just said was that was a very spiritual experience. Because if you look at, me, I go back to the Bible and there's examples of that all throughout the Bible. First one was Adam and Eve. Adam had the mission. He was given the mission. She came and said, well, we could do this. And he listened and he took that fruit. I know that's an esoterical story, but that story about a man staying on his mission. Adam went off his mission. You
mm,
see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And if you look at Samson, he was on a mission and he went off his mission. And what happened to him? He allowed his female counterpart to take him off the mission. Not to say women are bad or to beat up on women. It's just that if you have a purpose and you know that this is going to work, I could tell by the way he told that story that he knew that that was going to work.
Oh,
The only
absolutely.
person who got the voice, God gave him the voice.
mm,
Now it was up to his wife to trust that voice.
Hmm.
But somewhere in there, his wife had to trust. I know she was like, as he was taking that money out, she was worried. But but what I'm saying is she had some degree of trust in him. He had built something up enough where she could say, okay, go take the $2,200, and she was still there. And then he also knew if he wanted to keep his wife, he better make this work. If he
Hmm.
didn't
mm.
want any problems, let me make this work. Because tell me if I'm wrong. Most of these things we do in these ventures we going in, who are we doing it for? Who are we really doing it for?
Mm.
Because the average man
Other.
don't need all of that. We could go
Yeah,
live,
no.
very simple lives if we wanted
Yeah.
to.
Hmm.
We're doing it for our family because that's how we built. We built to,
Mm,
I'm gonna go get all of this so that I can look back and see my family enjoy what I'm doing, what I did.
Absolutely.
You see
mm.
what
Legacy.
I'm saying? If you
Exactly.
all real men, that's how they think.
Hmm.
Real men think like I'm going to get this, and in the back of our mind is okay. You're looking for some type of acceptance and approval from your family. Hey, look, I did this. Not that you want them to kiss your butt or anything. You just want that feeling of accomplishment is that I was able to build this legacy for my family.
Yeah.
So, man, that was a powerful story. Uh, Vic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a time, man. It
Anybody
was a time, man.
got a defining moment story that like similar to what he went through that you were on your way to do something and if you had one thing would have changed you probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Hey, man.
Anybody else? I know I had them. I had plenty of them.
I had quite a few of them
I had
things,
a
man.
few of them,
But
man.
with regards to someone like trying to talk you out of it,
No,
that's what
just like you was in a situation trying to navigate and you believed that something would work where everybody around you was giving you the Well, I guess would you then try to talk you out of it, or they were
Yeah.
doubting you, or you
But
didn't?
doubting, yeah. Well, yeah, I would say yeah, like yeah, I got plenty, but I said probably the biggest one, man, and it was my cousin actually brought this to my attention because I forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
We were all sitting on my grandmother's porch in Sumter at this time. I think I was like 14, 15
Right.
years old. And my uncle and my grandmother are all out there, and all the grandchildren were sitting on the porch, and they were going around asking everyone where they want to be when they grow up. And everyone was saying, you know, the different things. I want to be a banker. I want to go in the military, et cetera, et cetera. I want to be a teacher. So when it came to me, I said I wanted to be a doctor, and everyone just started bawling out laughing.
I heard, yeah.
Because they were like, you of all people, because at that time for me, academically, man, I struggled through high school. I graduated high school with a 1.7 GPA.
Mm-hmm.
And so
It made you
they're like, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay, yeah, dude, you failed grades, you failed courses, and you know, you struggle. Like also like you a doctor? Yeah, okay, right. And my cousin brought up to me, she said, what's crazy, she's like, cuz out of all of us who were on that porch that day, you're the only one who achieved what you said you were gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw it. I saw that vision. The same way Vic was saying, he saw that vision. I saw it. It was clear to me. I didn't know the how, because just looking at what was on paper, I didn't fit the bill at all.
Right.
And I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just knew that it was. And I took that same vision even when I applied to medical school. I just told myself, if they give me the interview, I'm closing the deal. And the one school gave me the interview, and I came there because I graduated USC with I had a 2.5 GPA. And I was competing against cats from Harvard, Stanford, and, you know, all these other major schools, UCLA out there, you know, in Arizona where I was applying. And they, the doctor was like, what makes you think, you know, that you're even medical school material looking at your grades here? Like, you did very well in your major. I majored in philosophy. So I wasn't even in the sciences. So I had to go take all these extra science classes. And he was like, well, what makes you think you're even medical school material looking at your academic performance? I said, well, I think you're asking me the wrong question. He's like, I beg your pardon. I said, you're asking me the wrong question. He said, what question should I ask? I said, you need to ask me, do you want my money or not? I said, whether I give you my money or some other medical school my money, I'm already a doctor. This is just a formality. So the real question is, do you want my money? Do you want the $300,000 coming to you, or do I need to take it somewhere else? And the other physician who was in there just started laughing. He said, I like this guy. He said, I like this guy. And I said, look, I'll tell you this. I may not be your straight A student here, but I'll tell you this. There's not one student here who will outwork me, who will outstudy me. I may not have the highest performance, but I'm going to give everything I can to this education if I have the opportunity to get it. And so I think that was probably like one of the biggest ones. And even my pops, you know, a lot of people doubted that this would happen. So I would say that was probably like the biggest thing for me.
Right.
You know what's crazy with that though? I don't even know what's crazy. It's just, if you had a GPA of 4.0, you might not be where you at. It's the fact that you was a free thinker. The fact that you could tap into yourself as opposed to getting that validation from someone else, because these people look at these grades as a validation, to a testament to what you know, and a testament to your heart and your work ethic. That don't show you nothing. That just means you can memorize and give them answers.
Basic facts.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
the fact that you saw it, the fact that you was able to tap into that pioneer when everybody else is blah, 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 your grades, because it ain't about the grades. Like I told my daughter, I said, listen, I'm not worried about it. I don't want you to be a straight A student anyway. And I'm not worried about you getting 90s and 100s and all that. As long as I don't see you decline and I see you going upward, I'm fine with that. Just put your all into it and know what you want, know who you are, know where you're going. Don't worry about these numbers because this is just a game for people.
Exactly.
You play the game, you get it, and you can't win a game unless you win it. Doesn't matter how you get in it, as long as you win it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
Right.
you learned people, and you gave them something that meant more to them than any GPA could ever mean. That bread.
Listen, that's right.
Yep.
That bread. So
Exactly.
that
I, I,
1.7 was a 4.0.
Yep.
Believe it or not.
exactly.
Indeed.
Right. Well, my defining moment, I had a lot of them, but I the one that I call to mind the most was a payphone phone call where I had just I was on the street selling drugs. That's 16, 17. Well, I think I was around 18 at the time. I totally went against everything my parents taught me. I grew up in a religious household. That's my parents. I didn't come from a ghetto type household where we didn't have, we had to struggle. But I left home because the religion was oppressive to me. So I went and stayed up in the Bronx with my aunt, and I needed money. And my long story short, my cousin talked me into this lifestyle, but I got tired of it. I got tired of that lifestyle, and I'm in the Bronx. Number 5, the last stop on the first and last stop, number 5 train. Had to hop the turnstile because I didn't have any money because the spot got busted, all the money gone. You know how that stuff comes, fast as it comes, fast as it goes. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna get a job. And I said, and I had this all in my mind. I'm gonna hop I planned it out. I'm gonna hop the turnstile. When I get on the train, I'm gonna see a newspaper and I'm gonna look at the one ads. This kind of shows you how long ago this was, right? And I said, I'm gonna get off at the next stop, go to the phone booth, and there's gonna be a quarter in there for me to make a phone call. Got on the train, found a newspaper, got to the next stop, got off, found a quarter in the phone booth. I don't know why. I could have got off at many stops and got a payphone, but I don't know why that next stop was the stop. But there it was. Called the job, and the guy told me to come in. Come on, he gave me the address. I get there. And while I'm filling out the application, he looks at me. Well, he just calling out and he says, "Hey, you, do you know how to get to the Four World Trade Center?" At first, I didn't know he was talking to me, right? Because it was a couple of guys over here, one guy over here. They all filling out the same application. And he's pointing at me. And they kind of nudged me, say, "Hey, he's talking to you." Then I looked, I said, "Oh, I could find it." He said, "Well, go to Four World Trade Center and see a guy named Joe V." Now, what's so significant about this story, and I've told it many times, is I was wearing stonewashed lime green jeans and a dress shirt. I was not dressed the part for any type of job, right? I didn't have any dress pants or anything. But the other guys were dressed the part to get there. They had on, casual clothes. They didn't, one guy had on a tie, but he called me out, sent me to that job. In that moment, my life changed by getting that job. Now, when we talk about education, I didn't even finish high school at the time because I had stopped school to run the streets. So that, to me, is the biggest lesson that I've ever learned, that it's not about credentials. It's about your potential and your willingness to make a change. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Once you make your mind up, everything falls into place. Once you see the vision, everything just lays out for you. Because, and it took me like 20, 30 years to figure that out. That happened to me. And when it happened, I was like, oh, I got the job. I didn't think nothing of it. I was still kind of lost in my thinking. But it was until like 30 years later that I really grasped the concept. Wait a minute. I wasn't supposed to have that job, according to conventional wisdom. Like, according to your grades, my D, you weren't supposed to be in medical school. They were looking for the best and the brightest, according to their standards. You see what I'm saying? So, what that says is society standards, this culture standards is not bringing out the best in people. It's not. You have to go outside of that and bring the best out of yourself. and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
people in yourself to bring it out. So yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you start either, man.
Mm-mm.
Kind of like yourself, I wasn't slinging drugs or anything, but I was trafficking stolen merchandise when I was in high school as well.
You see,
And it's
we all got
yeah,
some
yeah,
past.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Stolen.
Traffic. What we
Put a
it
nice
was kind
spin
of
on it, right?
right.
Right,
We were breaking into cars, man, and whatever we found got sold.
right,
And
right.
I ended up getting busted the last night we went out,
Yeah.
and I was looking at 15 years in prison. Because
Wow.
this is in '92. Clinton had just passed that 3 strikes and you're out,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I had that night they had 4 felonies against me,
Man,
but the prosecutor was trying to go for that, that life bid, but the judge like you can't do that because he got them all at this one time. It wasn't like consecutive,
right.
crimes that I had done,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I was in that, man, sitting in a jail. So they had me in isolation, and one of the cats who was with us, who's supposed to be like my boy, basically signed a written affidavit, say he would testify in court that I was the ringleader, which I was not, and basically put the whole thing on me. So that's why I was looking at 15 years,
Mm.
and
Wow.
at minimum. And so
I got a
I
story
was
like
just,
that too.
yeah, bro, yes, yeah. And it was just crazy, man. Like that night in prison, I kind of got shown my life. This, it was like God saying, if you continue down this path, you will be dead at 26 years of age. I
Right,
was 18. He said, you'll be dead at 26 years of age. He said, you weren't created for this. I didn't create you for this. So you need to choose. You need to decide tonight. And I said, I decide to be who you made me to be. And I want to choose that life. And so at that moment, I knew that I would not spend another night in jail. But my parents definitely
it
didn't
was
believe that.
freaking out.
And
Yeah,
the cops were like, okay, yeah, you're going down. We got a signed written affidavit against you. He's going to testify in court. But I made a declaration that night to myself and to the Most High that this will be the first and last time I ever see a place like this. And it changed everything. And this kid who would have had this felony record fall on him rest of his life with his 1.7 GPA, all of that stuff got washed out. And I am who I am today. So it doesn't even matter where you start, man, and what the situation is. Like you
It's
said, if you have
changed.
a focus, you have a direction, and you've decided to pursue that direction, everything starts to fall into place.
It's gonna work out.
But I have a saying, and on that note, there is that I'm on this train, and on this train is moving. It's either you getting on this train or you getting
Oh,
off,
you're
but this
not.
train
That's
is
right.
moving. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I don't mind pausing at a station for a second and that you step over and not fall on the track. I have no problem with that. But understand the doors are closing and this engine's gonna run.
Yes, sir.
And if you ain't on board, no problem, but I'm going. And
Right.
that's
Right.
something that I had to apply to any and all that I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and when Akeem asks, how, I forgot how you posed the question, when people don't support you, how they
Right.
make you feel. I had to become, something I tell people, like when they break up with somebody. In order to really start moving on, you got to get a little malice inside, because when you still stuck in that lovey-dovey thing, you start allowing them to do certain things to you that normally you wouldn't allow them to do. So you got to get that malice sometimes so that you can really see what's happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, because you can love a person from a distance, no matter who they are, because not everybody's supposed to be in your circle. Unfortunately, that could be your mama, your papa, your sister, your brother, your cousin, whoever. Doesn't
Teach.
matter. I'm saying?
Right.
So if you got a vision, go get that vision, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to live. Call me bougie, call me what the hell you want. So many people so scared of these titles that don't mean nothing. You can call me anything you want to call me in a book, but you ain't gonna call me a liar.
That's
Right.
right.
And I'm gonna go handle my business, whether you like it or not. And I'm gonna get what needs to be done. And
Right.
I don't have no problem sticking my hand out and helping and doing whatever I can for anybody. But just know that I'm gonna take care of mine first. And I'm gonna do
That's
what I
what's
gotta
up.
do for mine. And I'm unselfish and I'm not greedy. We all can eat. It's enough for everybody. I
Right.
believe if we all listen,
This,
that keeps the harmony. You know what I'm saying?
this is what I try to tell people when it comes to money. Where there is no money, there's a lot of people scrambling for that little bit of money.
100%.
It's millions of them. But where there is a lot of money, is a small percentage of the
Small percentage,
people
yeah.
up there with that. So why are you down there trying to scramble with the people, all the rest of them? Not to say that you're better than them. Why? It's like, think about it. When you go for a job, thousands of people going for the same job, right? But that's what school is teaching people. Go to school, get a good education, get a good job, and scramble for that one job like for that thousands of people want. They never tell you, go up there with a 1% at where they got billions and trillions of dollars, and it's more than enough to go around.
Yeah.
Go up there. Go hang out. And tell you the truth, when you hanging out with these folks, they got so much, they like, listen here, take some of this. You know, do this. Come, man, I got too much. Let me show you how to do this. They are very generous with their time, but one thing they do recognize is a person who's not focused. And they won't waste their time. You know, and I know that I'm like that now. You know, I notice brothers when they're doing, I feel like they're doing their thing. I'm gonna invest my time in those people. I mean, honestly, I don't talk to many people on the phone. I don't like talking on the phone. Although you hear me talking all the time, I do not like talking. And what I mean by I don't like having idle conversations on the phone.
Right.
I want to have a conversation about, okay, what we building next, what we're doing. I don't want to talk about love and hip hop and all that other stuff. You know, if you're into that, that's cool. But what I'm saying is my mind is always trained and focused on the next move. And when I'm moving on something, like Ahmed said, and this is a train, I'm going to, like with this show, I don't have the intro ready to go. I don't, I want to do so much more with it. But I say, listen, if I don't get this show started now, it's not going to get started.
Right.
We're not going to do this. We could add all of the frills later, because I think it's very important for men like ourselves to show that I came from a very religious and supportive background when it came to, going, my parents taking me places, and I didn't really want for nothing to go hungry, to the streets and then back to my senses. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I went through all of that, but, and now I'm here, we're doing this platform together. So people need to see that transition, that because you're in a period where things ain't good now, that's just temporary. And it's simply like Marty said, he right there in the mouth of the beast. I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not gonna be here. He made up his mind, and guess what? He was gone.
It's a decision.
He made
one decision.
Ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? He didn't accept that. So with that being said, what Marty said, I just want to expand on that. A lot of people that's finding themselves in these long-term bad situations. What do y'all think about that? Have they made up their mind? Have they accepted that? White?
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of goes back to, one of the things I always tell my students, clients, and when I was practicing patients is, before I can even work with you, you have to make a healing decision. A healing decision for your life, as far as your health is concerned, if it's a relationship issue, if it's something with your career, there has to be a healing decision that needs to take place. And the thing is very interesting. There's a difference between choices and making a decision. Choices, in my opinion, are a double-edged sword. It gives you free will, but in that free will of all these numerous infinite options available to you, it can cause people to stagnate.
Right.
It can cause people to not move forward because they're just overwhelmed with the options of choice that are available to them. But when you start to get clarity and you make a decision, when you look at the word decide, the CIDE means to cut. You cut away all other possibilities. You burn the ships. You are moving in one direction only. Nothing else exists for you. And so when it comes to any choice we're making in our lives, quote unquote choice, you have to turn that choice into a decision. And when you make that decision, you're fully committed. The way Brother Ahmed was talking about, you're on the train, it's already taken off, it's going, you can't jump the track, it's moving. So that's what I think a lot of people who are finding themselves in positions where they're enduring things for years and sometimes decades of the same cycle is due to the fact that they're not willing to make a decision and cut away that which is not serving them, burn the ships, and move forward.
Right.
I like to say
Go ahead.
this. So it's like, I don't know if you heard this story before, but there was it's a man sitting on a porch with his dog, and the dog was just whimpering on the
Mm.
porch, like just laying there, just crying, like lowly, but just whimpering a little bit. And that somebody asked the man, like, "What's wrong with the dog? Like, why is he, whimpering like that? Does he keep crying?" The guy said, "Oh, he's just laying on a nail." No, that's what most people. That's where most people are right now. They're just laying on a nail. It's not hurting them bad enough for them to want to get up and do something about their situations. You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't mind, as long as if it's not hurting bad enough and you're okay with where you're at. Most people are gonna stay right there. They're
Right.
comfortable. See, that dog was comfortable laying on that nail. It didn't stick him hard enough for him to jump up and say, "Oh,
Right.
this ain't working right here. This is uncomfortable." You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So,
Right.
that's where most people are at in their lives, and I know a lot of people that are like that right now. That's how they're living. They're just comfortable. Things are not hurting bad enough. I'm comfortable with making X amount. And they don't realize it's just so much opportunity out here, so much that the universe has for you. All you have to do is just make a decision. Because once you put that decision out there, the ethers out there in the ethers, things start formulating. People that you want to talk to that are willing to help you and to get into where you're trying to go, they'll just start showing up. But
Right.
you just got to speak it. It has to come out your mouth first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Thoughts become
Absolutely.
things.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It
You
goes to
know,
that known and unknown.
that's
That
right.
dog was in the known. He knew what it was
Mm,
going to feel like when he woke up. He knew what it was going to feel like when he went to sleep. He knew what it was going to feel like during the day. He knew. He knew what that was.
exactly.
But now, when I
Exactly.
get up and I move, I don't know what this is going to feel like. I
Right.
don't know what this is going to be. So that fear start to kick in as well. There's so
Exactly.
many brothers, and because we're speaking on brothers, but it goes both ways. But so
It's
many brothers,
everybody.
yeah. But I'm just
Everybody
saying, 'cause
on
we were
this.
speaking on brothers, but this go across the board. That well, I'm just going to say so many people get into that realm and stuck in that unknown and that security of that check or that security of knowing what this is, and they think, and I tell people that's fear. Procrastination is fear.
Hmm.
No, it's not fear. No, it's fear. Fear doesn't mean that you fear man. Fear means that you don't want to move. So you stuck in this known that you just like, listen, man, I know what this is. I know what I'm dealing with, and this is it. And you put yourself in a cocoon that you in tunnel vision. You can't see nothing. Then people have this tunnel vision, and they think everything's supposed to come through this tunnel, but things is coming from behind, left, right, and it's hitting them all in the head, but they can't see because they stuck in this tunnel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
man.
we got to get out of this unknown because that unknown is what's going to open up.
Unknown is the best part, man. That's
Listen,
Exactly. The
listen.
unknown,
Let me
exactly.
let me piggyback to that right there. I got something perfect for that. What you just exactly what you said about the unknown. There was a there was a guy. He had to get up and face the firing squad, right? And there was two doors, so he had to make a decision. There was one door he did not know what was behind that door. Nobody knew what was behind that door. But the other door, he would have to face the firing squad. Can you imagine which door he went through?
He went to the
The
fire
door
squad.
with the firing squad. But
Mhm.
guess what was behind the other door?
It's
Freedom.
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 Yep.
Freedom.
right.
Most people fear the unknown. They do not want to go in uncharted waters. Who's over there? Like, y'all don't know like what's behind it? Like, oh no, we're not going over there. So you said the firing squad is over here. Yeah, I'd rather take my chances over here. I know what's gonna happen in this direction. That's
Right.
crazy that people
Now,
think like
you
that.
know what?
Well, it's deep though with that, Vic,
It's very deep.
It
Yes.
is.
because it's actually wired in us.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Our nervous systems are designed to keep us safe and keep us in the familiar.
Right.
And this is how we are when we come out the womb.
Mm.
You know, that autonomic nervous system is looking for security, looking for safety,
Right.
looking for co-regulation, and having an environment where it can now thrive in. And so,
Right.
to the point that Ahmed made, that was so brilliant, brother, that, and it kind of ties into what you're talking about with the dog and the nail. Even if it's a pain that you're familiar with, that your nervous system's familiar with, that for your nervous system is safety.
Correct.
Even if it's uncomfortable, it's
Wow.
uncomfortable safety. And
Mm.
your biology won't even permit you to move
Mm.
into uncertainty without it testing it and checking it out. But for most people, they're not even willing to even step into the testing phase of something, because they are so comfortable in the familiar, regardless of the circumstances. And because our nervous systems are hardwired to keep us safe, the biology will prevent them from moving forward until they take a true, determined, willed action of decision making, and saying,
Right.
even despite the fear, despite the apprehension, despite all this stuff going on inside of me physically, mentally and emotionally, I'm still going to move it out in this direction, into this uncertainty. And
Mm.
it's only till you go into that uncharted territory, into that darkness, that you begin to find that salvation and that freedom. And
Right.
so it's amazing, man, just how much that can paralyze one.
Right.
And the technical term for it, what we call it, is actually you're in a dorsal state, because there's 3 states as far as the nervous system is concerned when it comes to, I know you all have probably heard of fight or flight, so that's that sympathetic state. Then there's 2 aspects of parasympathetic, where you have the parasympathetic ventral, where you have connection, rest, digest, you're feeling good, you're feeling safe. And then you have the other side of the parasympathetic, which is the dorsal, where you shut down, you freeze, you become paralyzed. And a lot of people will find themselves in that paralyzed state to prevent, in their minds, or even from a nervous standpoint, something that's going to potentially even cost them their lives, that they've constantly in their head, because that's how much the fear is. So they have to just freeze. So it's biologically written within us. So it takes a high level of consciousness, a high level of spiritual awareness, to navigate through the body and the nervous system as a gatekeeper,
Right.
to
Right.
move forward and move into any new
Right.
reality for ourselves.
Wow. That's
Right.
deep. So it's not just mental, it becomes physical as well.
No, it's biological, brother. Yeah, indeed.
Right.
Right. And I think with most people, I've dealt with this. What gets most people going, if they do change the trajectory of their life into a higher standard of living, something tragic happens.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was losing a job while I had a wife pregnant, and I had nothing else to fall back on. If I had stayed with that job, I'd have probably still working there, stressed out. You see what I'm saying? But I had a vision that I wanted my own business. I wanted to do my own thing. And a year before, I had went to this barbering school, and the teacher was real flaky at first, and me and my brother walked out. And then it took me getting fired from a job to go back to that same school, because I was playing basketball with someone who went to the school. Say, I introduced you to him, went in there, and the guy gave me a free education just to help him run the school. So that wasn't the time for me to be at that school. A year later, say, I'm gonna get you in there where you don't have to pay. But I still had that burning desire in me that I wanted to do something. I wanted to make my own money, but I had got complacent with, okay, I can't do it. I'm just gonna take these jobs and play it safe. The universe said, hell no. It said, we're gonna get you fired on your day off, like Friday. On my day off. My brother, he said, you got fired just like on Friday. You wasn't even working and got fired. Right? And then that was a depressing, 10 weeks, because I didn't have any money coming in. South Carolina penalizes you when you get fired. They hit you over the head. Like, you can't get nothing in for 10 weeks, hoping that you're going to find a job. But instead, I went to the barber and said, listen, I ain't got nothing. I don't have a job. I don't get my unemployment for 10 weeks. I can pay you then. And the owner just said, just run my school. He asked me what I did, and this is what I'm saying. That job with the lime green jeans, stonewashed jeans, set me up for this, becoming a barber. Because I told me I worked at the World Trade Center, I did this and that. And he said, okay, well, you run my school and I'll give you a scholarship. You help me and I'll help you. And I'm forever grateful for that, because that was another defining moment. And that's what happens to some people. They're so complacent until something tragic happens. Losing a job, their health or something. And then they say, you know what? It's like a slap on the back of the head. Bow. Wait a minute. I got to do something different. I don't want to go here. And then you start remembering all the dreams you had and say, well, what about this? And then you become refocused. Because the moment that happened to me losing a job, and then I went in there, he gave me that education, I was focused. I got out of school in record time to become a barber. Most guys stay in there at least a year and a half. I did it in the time they said you can, that you can become a barber. I did it in 7.5 months, because you had to get so many hours. But at the same time, you had to do so many months too. So you couldn't just do $1,500 hours. So I got out and I went straight into the barbershop. And then a few months later, I owned a barbershop. Then I ended up owning 2 barbershops. I mean, it just kept going on and on. From there, I expanded and expanded. I said, well, if I could do this, I could do this. And if I could do this, I could do this. I just kept moving. And the next, I was traveling the country, helping other systems get up. And then I was, ran a system in Atlanta, all from that one moment where I made a decision to get off the street. That's why I always go back to that to show, listen, being comfortable, you got plenty of time being comfortable when you're in the ground. You got plenty of time for that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be rested. That body be rested and doing, you're going to be dead a lot longer than you're going to be alive. So right now,
that right.
Time to make it happen.
There's one way to look at it, right?
You know what I'm saying? So, in me and my belief system, I know that the spirit keeps moving on and living on. But in this existence right now, why not make the best of it?
Right.
Why not experience these things, traveling and doing things? Why not? Well, we came from, schools where taught us that we were nothing, that we just accept what society gives us. And right now, 4 of us has broke that, shattered that idea. Said, hell no, I'm not taking that. I know I deserve more than what you're telling me I can get. I know I can get way more than I'm even imagining right now. So I just got to make a decision.
That's it.
And do that. And so.
But that shows that there's a quality. I think every man probably possesses it, but it's more exasperating in other men, because you had a quality in you that needed something to spark it.
That's right.
And plus you was connected to something, didn't even know how connected you was, because it was being told to you need to do something, but you was being a blockhead and didn't want to listen.
Right. I was doing out of necessity. Like,
exactly.
I thought I needed to sell drugs to make money. Because I went and tried to get jobs and said, yo, man, you too scrawny to get a job. You just, and it's so, I mean, I got turned down for so many jobs, filling out applications. I didn't want to go and sell drugs. I tried, but it was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But I damn sure didn't want to go back home and start knocking on doors again.
But there's so many people that get caught up in the narrative that they can't, they can't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to get the hell out of it. They can't.
Right.
So you have to. It's a certain quality that have to be in you that have to be sparked.
That's a fact.
You have to close. Like, you can't get electrocuted unless you close the circuit. So it has to be something that closed that circuit, that sparked that in you. Because so many get trapped in that I can't, and because this person, I can't do this because they said this and blah 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 blah. But even in the fact that you went in the streets, you went in knowing that you can. So that you can just translate it into something else. So so many get caught in that you can't. That's why I don't allow that word in my house. You mean you can't?
Yeah.
Right. Love it. Do anything, you put your mind to it. That's a fact. You
gotta be hungry.
You could do it.
That's
you know, if you can imagine it, it can happen.
Right.
You're right. You know, that is a certain quality. Not accepting the quality is being truthful with yourself and not accepting excuses. That's
mediocrity. No mediocrity.
That right there is not taking excuses. And the first excuse you got to throw away is the ones you make for yourself.
That's right.
And I'm glad you said that, because it starts with you.
Right. It starts with you. People make excuses why they can and can't do stuff, you know. And I'm sorry, I get a little pushback from Beth on this. I don't accept excuses because I see a power in myself, and I feel like I can do what I do. Anybody can do. It's nothing special. What makes it special is that not everybody's doing it. That's why it looks special. But everybody can do it. And when I do, no excuses here. If something ain't working out, okay, let's own this and just how do we undo this and work this thing out? And I think that's what is an attractive quality that women are looking for, that a man is, no matter what, he's going to stay focused. Because I think sometimes God sends us the woman, or the woman comes into our life to see how focused we are about our mission, how serious we are about doing what we say we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what, when we have a woman in their life, they're testing that. Oh, you say this?
Oh, yes, they are.
They're testing that. To see, well, let's see, because she's trying to look for a strong man. She wants a strong.
She wants that stability.
And that's being tested, especially in the beginning. And like with Vic, that was a test. How strong you is about this camera. You really
what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up to get what it is that you're trying? What are you willing to give up?
Everything.
All or nothing. Be willing to sacrifice something. Like
absolutely.
My daughter's doing here. She didn't want to go to college, and I told her I'm fine with that. I ain't got no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna do something. So she went and got something. She got a beautician license, or something they could never take from her. But I also told her, you gotta understand something. When you start making your move in this world and building your own, you're gonna be leaving some behind, and you gotta leave them where they're at, because you can't bring them all with you.
Yes, absolutely.
And bring them.
And that's the biggest hindrance of people's success.
Yes.
And they're allowing the anchors of their friendships and their families to hold them back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you gotta listen. You came in this world by yourself. You're gonna go out by yourself.
Listen, I used to work with a client. I worked with a client one time that I was just producing video content for, and every time she would finish like an episode, she would run it through so many people and get so many people's opinions. And I said, listen, you have to stop doing that. Simply because every time you get an opinion, you're going to come back and you're going to want to keep changing the way you feel like it's going to make them happy. I said, first of all, they're not your audience. You see what I'm saying? Your audience needs to get to know who you are. Your friends are not going to be your audience. Absolutely. You're going to be attracting an entirely new audience here. And the few people that you keep sending these videos to, listen, you're never gonna have a finished project, because you keep running everything through them. Put your work out, put it out there to the and when she did that, all the comments she was getting, this is so beautiful, I love this, blah blah blah. And
say that again, Vic, about the putting the work out. Can you say that again? As I say that all the time.
Just put the work out. Put it out there. Once you get it done, put the work out there. It does not have to be perfect. I did it for her, so it was kind of close to perfect when she put it out there. But just the fact that everything she was running it through, her people that she felt like she had valued their opinions. I said, listen, when I was doing business before this business, and I would bring things to people and get their opinion, if I listened to everybody's opinion, I would not be where I'm at to this day. If I listened to everything everybody was telling me, you shouldn't do it that way, man, you think that's gonna work, man, I don't know, man, that probably at the time to do it. I said, man, the time is always now to do anything you're trying to do. Right now. So
it's a book called The 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss.
Oh yeah, I got that one.
Right.
I got it.
He said something. Take the first step and correct course along the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Put it out there. Like if you go back and see my videos when I first started to what I'm doing now. And even now, I know I need work. And the reason why is because I don't have that multimedia background. I'm
Right.
kind of finding little programs here and just piecemeal and stuff.
Making it work though.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm making it work, and I got a good following of people, just with that. But that goes to show you don't need,
But
Yeah,
exactly.
no,
like production in order to be successful.
You need content. You have content worthy stuff.
Content is king,
yeah,
my brother.
that's
Right.
it.
You know,
That's it.
so you just everybody, and I know that everybody has it in them. Everybody got the power. We were put here specifically, not only to elevate ourselves, but while we're elevating ourselves to be a beacon of light to show other people that they can do it too.
Hmm.
Right.
This is what this life is all about.
Absolutely.
All of the other stuff, all of the things come after that. The money, the cars, the fancy houses, and all of that. All of that comes after that. But the real key is to how far can you push your potential?
Hmm.
Yeah, and it boils down to what you're saying is, what value are you giving to the world?
Right.
That's
And
it.
that value is reciprocated back to you through the
Mhm.
properties, through the finances, et cetera.
Hmm.
And so if you want to measure, this is kind of what I look at myself. It's like, okay, if I want to measure how well I'm doing, I have to look at the value that I am bringing to
Right.
the market, that I'm bringing to the world through my gifts that I have been given, the assignment I have been given, and how
Absolutely.
I'm giving that forth. And that will determine, what I get back in return.
Exactly.
And so you gotta put that in, man. You gotta put that value out there
You
to make it
know,
happen.
that's great what you're saying. And I know it's getting late for you, Madi, because you over there in Belgium.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
What
My
we
my
time is
my,
almost,
my
it?
wife my wife
it's
side eyeing me for food right
yeah,
now. She like,
yeah, it's almost midnight here. It's getting close to
Right,
Wow.
midnight.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so what I'm gonna do right now, out of respect for Madi and his time, I know because he's got to get up. He's got a lot going on. Anybody got any last words or any last words of inspiration to put out there? Nobody? Come
y'all
on,
go. Oh,
man.
absolutely. I got something, but
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
know
let
Vic
y'all.
got something.
Go ahead.
go ahead, Vic. Go ahead
Go
and
ahead.
start us off, Vic.
All right. So, um, I'll say this: most people die at 25, but don't get buried until age 65.
Right.
So, what's powerful about that? So, when most people get out of school, of course, we graduate. You know, all the dreams you had kind of get beat out of you when you get into that work system, the job system, and you're
Rat
working
race. Let's call
basically
it what it is.
the rat race. You're trying to make ends meet, and
Right.
when sometimes the ends just don't be meeting up together.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, they just stop dreaming. So what I've learned is I had to be hungry. You know what I'm saying? I had to want something bigger than myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to want dreams bigger than what I could ever even imagine that I could possibly have. So I'll say this for anybody that's listening right now. This is what I want you to do. Get you a tablet or get you a notes in your phone. What I did was something very powerful. It doesn't cost no money to do this. Write out your ideal day. It took me about 45 minutes to do this. I wrote out my ideal day, right? And I did this before I moved to Columbia. I wrote out my ideal day. Me and my wife, my two kids, we were in an apartment. Wrote out my ideal day, right? From the time I woke up in the morning to the time I went to sleep at night. I did this project. I wrote that thing out, closed it, and I felt every bit of it when I wrote it out, right?
Beautiful.
Probably, I want to say about 3 years after I wrote that out, I made it plain. This is why I said get specific on what you want. Be very specific. So I wrote everything out. Believe it or not, 98% of what I wrote down in that book, I have to this day, right now. I have it.
Mm.
Mm.
I have it. It didn't cost me nothing but a little bit of time to write that out, decide what I wanted to have, how I was to see, how I wanted to live my life, how I wanted to walk, move, everything, cars. I mean, I put it all in there. I said, me and my wife would be overlooking the city and thanking God for how blessed we were on our balcony. And guess what? If I was to turn this camera around, y'all probably could see my my balcony right now. So when I stepped into this house when I came to Columbia, I said, "This is it. This is it." But what's so weird is I forgot that I wrote that in my in that out for my ideal day until I went back and opened it up. I was like, "Wow!" Like I really manifested pretty much 98% of what I wrote down in here. It was crazy, but I would suggest doing that for anybody that's very, very serious about what they want. Get specific on what you want.
Right. Important.
All right. Wow, powerful, brother. It's interesting, Vic, you said 25. The reason why I said that is because that's when the brain stops developing. It reaches its full development by age 25. And if you don't have those dreams that you were speaking of, you don't have that inspiration and those aspirations beyond that, yeah, you're not able to begin to deepen those neural connections and allow your, as we were discussing earlier, that your biology to move you forward in life and open up opportunities for you because of that. And kind of thinking about, you know, when you're saying, I love what you did about writing out your ideal day. It's something actually I do with my students and clients as well, because it's a powerful thing. And I actually took it from the scripture, Habakkuk 2, verses 2 through 3. And I actually just pulled it right now so I can read it. But it says, "And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain
Make it
upon
plain.
tablets, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." And so when we have that clear vision, and especially if we write it down, and you actually bring it, and that's the powerful thing about this universe and this world we live in, it's a spiritual act to take something from the imagination and bring it into physical form. And so when you have a thought in your mind and you write it down, you've now brought something from the immaterial and brought it into the material. So it has to come forth in that realm. Because you
Has to.
already planted the foundation for it by bringing it from your imagination into the real realm of space, time, and matter. So it now must unfold and manifest. So I think, just kind of piggybacking off you, brother. Yeah, just having that vision and making it
Yeah.
plain and writing it down.
It's a law. It's a law. It
It's
has
a
to
law.
happen.
It's a principle.
It's a
It's a principle.
universal law.
Absolutely.
It
Yes,
has
it's a
to happen.
principle.
I don't
Yes.
think people get
Right.
that part.
Wow, that was yeah, that was.
It's on you, Ahmed.
It's funny, like a few different things ran through my head, and then it all went blank at the same time. What was being said? It's like, but I'll say this: stand in your truth, stand 10 toes down, be unapologetic. Know, have somewhere to go and know where you're going. Know that if you ain't moving, you ain't going nowhere. So as men, we have to take the realm and take that leadership and bring forth that energy for our children to know that they're safe, supported, and they're going to be taken to a place where they can be, where they could be in serenity, where they can allow their imagination to be as free and as open as it needs to be in order for them to get the blessings that's deemed them. Too many times we shut our own children down and like, oh, stop that daydreaming. Remember you say, hey, stop that daydreaming. I don't allow that in my house. Daydream all day you want. I don't care if you're in school, daydream. Let it happen. So just know that we have the power. And the power is not somewhere else. It's in us. So this is a question I would ask me. I was on some panels some years ago, and to this day, they look at me like, how you quote that question? I said, as a man, can you look in the mirror and say to yourself that you're okay with your daughter being with someone like you. If you, and I say be honest, because a lot of brothers ain't gonna be honest. But I could honestly say, I could look in the mirror and say, I'm okay with my daughter being with someone like me. And if you can't say that, then you need to reevaluate. You need to reconstruct.
Right.
You need to read whatever you need to read to be in a place where you can say that I want my daughter to be with someone like me. And I ain't saying you got to be perfect, because it ain't about being perfect,
Right.
but it's about being a man. And that's another thing. Let me put a disclaimer out there right now. When I talk about real men, I'm not talking about a dude with the anatomy part. Let's make sure we understand. We're talking about real men. Right. And it's like a lost age now with what I've seen that's going on. So when I talk about real men, that's what I'm speaking of. And you need to be able to look in that mirror and know that my daughter will be okay with someone like me, because I know that man is going to take her to a place where she needs to be, and she could do it in safety, and she could thrive in safety.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Absolutely, brother. Wow.
I'm like you, man. I had so much to say, and then I lost it just as I was about to speak. But just to piggyback on that, the man part, your daughter being, because I have a daughter. I want my daughter to be with a man that I'm becoming, that I'm to that level. Like I know I'm good. I do things good, but I know there's still more work to be done. So there's some things I want to change. But that's a good question to ask every man. Do you want your daughter to be with a guy like you? That's a very good question. And what I want to say to help people, who uplift them, is this: the world that we've been given has been designed to give us an illusionary storms, illusionary obstacles, that we are not good enough. But we are good enough. We have the power to do anything we want to do. We were created that. And we knew that from the day we was conceived. The problem was, when we came out here, we got bombarded with all this illusionary ideas, living up to standards that was somebody else's idea. But the power and the truth and the light and all wisdom was given to you from the day you was conceived in your mother's womb. Now is the time to say, I got to forget all of the things I was taught, and today start to learn a new idea of yourself, and give yourself that idea, not someone else's idea who you are. It's your idea. You got to tap into like what I'm saying. It's in you. Everything's here. It's basically, we just trying to remember who we really are. And we're nothing but good and powerful and enlightened beings, inside of a physical body, trying to remember who we really are. And who we really are, we can manifest anything and have anything we want whenever we choose. And we should be wanting to enlighten ourselves. And while we're doing that, that light spreads to others. They see that. Be an example. Like in the house, we do a lot of talking about what we want our wives to do, what we want our kids to do, but the best example is our example.
Right.
Right.
Just doing it. So many times I do so much talking. Oh, we did that. No, but what I see that's mostly effective, you watch me do this.
Yep.
Vic, his wife watched him get his business off the ground, and now she trusts him. How long you and your wife been married now, Vic?
20. Hold up. 23 years. 23 years, Sharon?
Give my man in trouble now, man.
You get him in jail.
23 years. 23 years. Almost got in trouble just now.
That's what I'm saying. Everything was going good, and I came.
It was going good till you asked that question. It was going great.
Gotta put him on spot.
Yeah, put him on the spot, man. About to end it bad.
What I was trying to make is this: through his dedication to his purpose, his wife over time grew the trust that he was going to be the man that be able to take care of his family, take care of her, became a safe place. And that's what we so many times, us as men, we try to get people to come on board with us before we have everything in place.
Facts.
And we got to get ourselves in place first.
Yep.
You know, yeah. Do women have issues? Yes, they do. But let the women deal with their issues. We deal with our issues. You know, we have a lot of baggage that we're bringing to the table as well, and we just stay on that. And guess what? The woman that's for you will be with you. They'll just you talked about that, Mahdi. We talked about that a few weeks ago. As long as you stand in your purpose, the woman that's for you is going to be drawn to you.
Yes,
And
sir.
all of us have women in our lives, you know. You know, I'm signing out on the 15th of October, you know, solidifying everything. You see, and Ahmed has a good woman in his life. Mahdi got a good woman in his life. And of course, 23 years strong, married. That's an accomplishment. We got to give that brother a hand right here. In this day and age, what's going on in this world with the relationships, we have to give, you know, people of color hands that they can maintain, because
together 30 years.
trying to tear that up, you know. With that being said, man, I really appreciate you guys coming on, and if we could keep doing this every Tuesday at 4, if y'all have time, I think this would be good, you know, just sharing our experiences with the world.
Indeed.
And that will help other people.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will help open up other ideas that can come out, because we all got different.
Oh, that's the whole idea. Listen, y'all already, if y'all ever, y'all know me, I'm about the prosperity. You know, we're not working together if we ain't making money together. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's about that. That's because people say they want to do good for the world, but you can't do nothing good for the world broke. You can't.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So let's get that paper. Let's as long as we're not hurting anybody doing it. You know,
that's ain't stepping on no toes.
Right. All right, brothers. Till next time.
All right, y'all.
No, this is great.
Peace.
Homeschool Guide Montessori Consulting Services is a service to families and educators. I offer initial consultations for those that are interested in talking through unique situations, whether that is finding the right curriculum for their child, toilet learning, positive discipline, starting a homeschool, learning state laws, and setting up educational environments, to name a few. Please go to my website, www.home-schoolguide.com, for more information.